When you're looking for a hydration product, what are the things that you're looking for?
If I'm ever looking for a hydration product, the number one thing I'm looking for is that it tastes good. Like, water has no taste at all. Water's what, like, nature turns to rehydrate, and that's a little bit boring. And then you come down, are you gonna go with sugar? Are you gonna go with sugar-free? And all of this is just conversations point. Does this taste better than the other product? That's it. Jocko Hydrate is delicious. It's got electrolytes. That's between you guys. I don't know what electrolyte is. Frankly, I don't even need one. You could give me more electrolytes than the opponent, I'll beat the opponent. You could give me less than the opponent, I'll still beat the opponent. I can't even spell electrolyte. This has them, whatever that is. And it tastes good, which is really what matters. Ryan Garcia was suspended for 1 year by the New York State Athletic Commission. Now, guys, I must preface, I don't have a problem with this. But I must preface and lead with that because you're going to listen to my tone and hear the words and think that I begrudge. I don't. But I am surprised. And that's for anything I've ever spoke about that has to do with Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, New York State Athletic Commission, and VADA. And quite frankly, if you're not talking about one of those four subjects, you're not really talking about much because nobody cares. But I have never seen it done like this. Let me just back up to the beginning, okay? Garcia behaves himself like a fool in the media to the point that you guys called for the fight to be stopped. And you must be able to admit that, which most of you cannot. Most of you will deny that you ever thought like that. But you did. And it's very good self-learning by you. It's not a matter of me saying, ha ha. It's very good self-learning to you. And when you guys were calling for that fight to be stopped, I said to you guys, are you the kind of person that would lock up Al Pacino for selling cocaine and murdering people with machetes because you just watched Scarface? Or are you the kind of person that can separate yourself between the human and the performance? And I said this to you ahead of time. And I also had great concern for Ryan Garcia. And I also knew that, man, that's a very tough spot. You have somebody who is out there making us believe that their cheese slid off their cracker. And we're now going to have a government agency telling them, go ahead and go get into a fist fight. Like, believe me, I saw the problem. But you never know what you're looking at. And there's an expression, don't believe anything you hear and only half of what you see. And that expression was created for situations exactly like this. And there was never a time until the weigh-in that the commission had authority over Ryan Garcia. It's very relevant because once their clock starts, when he's on the commission's time, is the moment he gets on the scale. So when he got on the scale and he failed and he then tweeted out that he didn't care about failing, that he came in heavy, that it was his plan to not honor the contract from the beginning, that would give him a meaningful competitive advantage. He is now on the clock. And then and only then is when the commission could step in, and they did not. The commission that was headed up at that time by Kim Slumber, she has stepped down. You now know why Kim Slumber is so respected. Because she was able to see where the performance was. She allowed for that fight to go on. Ryan Garcia goes out, he gets a big upset. All right, great. We chalk it up to marketing. We're going to figure out the fine. We're going to figure out the weight issues. But we are done. And a massive rematch, should Ryan Garcia choose Devin Haney next, is waiting in the wings. Should Ryan choose him? Like, we don't need Devin, and Devin did not become a big star. Ryan did. So Ryan can go on and he can do business with a whole bunch of people. In fact, he himself wanted to go and do business with Jake Paul, just for example. But should Ryan choose Haney, we are going to have a massive payday in a rematch. Great. That's just the setting. But then it comes out by Devin Haney, who was anything but gracious in defeat. I mean, Devin Haney became one of the biggest babies in boxing in defeat to Ryan Garcia. But he stayed on it. Right? And it's like music. There's only so many notes. And he stayed on, and then he himself reported that Ryan Garcia had failed a drug test. And not a lot was done with that. We didn't really know. Like, Devin Haney had lost so much respect amongst the public for being such a poor sport and being such a baby that when he came out and accused his opponent of cheating, not a lot happened with it. It never really made headline news. We didn't know what to make of it. Not to mention, it was unsubstantiated. Well, then about 12 minutes went by, and it did get substantiated by Ryan Garcia himself. So now we're sitting there going, okay, all right, what's happening? Devin Haney has said that Ryan Garcia failed a drug test administered by VADA, the voluntary anti-doping agency. But that is confirmed by Ryan Garcia? Okay, great. That's not how we get revealed drug test failures, though. We would get it from somebody that had adjudication authority, of which VADA does not. So that would then get handed over to who did have authority, in this case, the New York State Athletic Commission, by one of the most respected executive directors walking all the land in Kim Sumler, who, by the way, resigned. It was like 3 working days. It was like 3 working days from the time this news came out to the resignation, which, by the way, many people have tried to tie into some kind of corruption. It wasn't. Kim Sumler is awesome at her job. She's very respected. She's moved on in life. New York had that information, but then, you got to let the dates line up in a 2 weeks or 30-day notice. However all of that works, and so it's just an overlap. I would just like to clear that because she's done such a good job and just does not deserve to be any part of a conspiracy, of which there was none. But we still haven't heard from New York. And we finally hear from VADA, and that was of interest. VADA finally came out and did say, yes, we administered these tests. Ryan Garcia has 2 steroids found in his system. VADA then came out and said, we administered these tests, and Ryan Garcia has only 1 steroid found in his system. We thought it was 2, we've clarified, and it was only 1. We failed at our job, but only at 50% of our job. All right, good enough. I'm really not against somebody coming out and correcting something when they're wrong, but this is the story, and this is the way that it happened. But now, there was so much confusion that, again, it never made a headline. It was in the news. It was reported, but it was never a headline. It was never number 1. It was never top of the page because nobody could really explain it. Not to mention, Devin Haney has no power and or authority. Not to mention, VADA has no power and or authority. The only ones with any adjudication, power, and or authority was New York, who not only had not spoke up, we didn't even know who to speak to because the executive director had stepped out. So we now have clarity today that Ryan Garcia, per a deal that he made with New York, will be suspended for 1 year, which typically is retroactive, which means we're already down to about 9 months, 9 to 10 months. Generally, it's retroactive. They didn't clarify it in this. He will have to return his disclosed purse or a percentage of his disclosed purse to Golden Boy Promotions, which is over $1 million, a check that I can all but assure you he will never write, and he has to pay the state itself $10,000. Now, I don't tell you this to make light of it. I'm just telling you, there's no part of that that can be true unless everybody involved allows it to be true. Like, for example, if you have a steroid found in your system in the state of New York, you sit 2 years. Now, many times, a commission will act like traffic court. Well, you showed up today and you were awfully polite, and I'm going to reduce the fine a little bit, but that's not the way that it works. It's 2 years. And all substances are not created equal. Caffeine is on the banned list. Advil is on the banned list. Like, you have certain things that are banned. Then you have anabolic steroids, which is what is said to be in his system. In fact, for a period of time, 2 anabolic steroids, they just reduced 1. So you have the highest level of pet abuse that you can, which is an anabolic. And they cut the minimum time in half. Now, that was confusing and it was an earful, but I'm watching Ryan Parsons eat an entire watermelon in my face. Do you guys remember the time that Christian Bale got drugged through the mud because he was trying to perform and there was someone in the back and he was like, "Be a jerk." Do you guys remember that? Christian Bale was right.